Uganda Tourism Board. What strategies have Uganda put in place to attract UK investors to tourism?
Thank you very much. The starting point is really to get Uganda known by the global community. So awareness creation is our strategy number one, and we do this in different ways. We use different means. Right now, the digital world is the biggest tool of reaching out to create awareness. We work with the international media houses, the digital platforms like Expedia, Booking.com, and the others, to get the world to know about Uganda. If they don't know the brand Uganda, they can't be able to invest in Uganda. But we also work together with our sister institution, Uganda Investment Authority, where all the profiles of the investments for tourism are listed. So we do have on the Uganda Tourism Board website, on Uganda Investment Authority website, the listing of the various investment in tourism, from accommodation. The one thing that we need with investment in accommodation in Uganda with the hotels is basically luxury hotels. That is the segment that is missing. We do have from budget hotel to high end, but the missing link is the luxury accommodation. We are also trying to bring in the international brands. We already have the Hiltons, the Marriotts. We need a core in Uganda. We need the Radissons in Uganda. So that is another specific segment that we are looking for. And this is we provide on the digital platform, but also in forums as this. Other ways is also we do attend different international expos and conferences like this. I was very glad this morning that I already met somebody, and I have a further follow-up meeting on Tuesday morning to actually discuss investment in golf resort in Kasese in Uganda. So a platform like this is a great one, and I'm very glad that I was able to come here, because I could as well have gone home at 11 o'clock this morning, because already I got a potential with an investor who is coming to invest in golf resort in Kasese. I do believe that there might be opportunities still to meet some others, potential investors in this room. So that is one of the other ways that we do reach out to try and promote investment in tourism in Uganda. But we also use our missions abroad. The High Commission here in London, they have all the prospectors as well, and all the missions abroad across the globe is another means by which we promote investment in tourism in Uganda.
Okay, considering the fact that we're in the United Kingdom, how do you ensure that the tourism sector aligns with the UK business interest? Because there might be a couple of other nations that are interested in certain sectors. How do you ensure that the tourism sector aligns with the UK business interest?
I believe that our biggest connector is our High Commission in London, who play the economic and commercial diplomacy. So they feed us with the priorities of the UK government and economy for us to be able to align appropriately. Just like I said, earlier this morning, sports tourism has become big, and golf tourism in the UK is what they are looking for. There are over 40 million golf players in Europe, and UK has a big number of those. And so we are trying to align ourselves, and some of this information comes through the media, but also our High Commission.
Thank you very much, and a round of applause for her. We'll quickly move on to Emma Thomas. As co-head of Global Business Organization for Africa, how is the organization supporting large infrastructure projects in East Africa?
Thank you. I will recap what UK Export Finance does in case there are new people in the audience that weren't able to hear from Francois, but I'll keep it brief, and then maybe I'll move on to some specific examples. So, as the government's export credit agency, we are a source of competitive financing for UK businesses that are exporting to East African markets, as well as to overseas buyers of UK goods and services. And that's perhaps where I'll really focus today's discussion on. So we've provided over $2 billion of financing across East Africa, from Ethiopia to Uganda, Tanzania, as well. They've really been our success stories, but we're absolutely keen to expand our footprint and our portfolio across the region. And we have a very active and developing pipeline, including in Kenya and some of the other markets. So really interested if you've got projects or prospects on your horizon that you'd like to discuss, please do find Francois and myself, as well as my colleague Paul, who's also in the audience, to discuss those. In short, we have a kind of simple set of product solutions in the form of insurance, direct loans, but the majority of the support that we provide is in the form of guarantees to commercial loans. So we're really talking about commercial financing, albeit at competitive rates and over long tenors. So if you're thinking about projects, we're particularly interested in what is the debt ask, as we only support on the debt side, not on the equity. And where are you looking at making significant capital investments? That's really where we come into play, and we can be quite a catalytic source of financing, helping to mobilize other financing parties to come around the table and make your projects happen. We have a very flexible offer. A minimum of 20% of the sourcing needs to come from the UK, and that can be goods and services. So you'll often see, and I think it's very well known, that the UK has a very strong engineering, design, architectural sectors. So typically we would see quite a lot of the UK content coming through in the services. But that said, it may also come in the form of goods as well. So if we're supporting roads, you would see that actually quite a high proportion of the UK content is the bitumen that goes into the kind of raw product, which I think is perhaps not often obvious, but shows the degree of flexibility in what we're able to offer as part of our financing solution.
Yeah. How do you manage and mitigate the risk involved in high potential investment?
Yeah, so effectively we are a risk management tool really for the commercial banks. So we provide a guarantee with a full strength and credit of the UK government, which means that the commercial bank will end up pricing the loan against UK government risk rather than the overseas buyer. So this effectively substitutes say Uganda's credit rating for the UK credit rating, acting as a credit enhancement. And that means the commercial banks are willing to lend at more competitive interest rates and also over longer tenors. So this is really, we're really quite an important tool actually in the kind of broader financing landscape across the continent. And we've, as Francois mentioned, provided hundreds of millions of pounds in support for Ugandan government priority projects, some really innovative ones too, in some pretty important strategic sectors.
Okay, thank you very much, Emma. We'll come back to you. But let's move on to Ms. Bamuturaki to ensure that we do it ladies first. Securing landing slots at Heathrow is a major milestone for you. Given the strong demand for the Entebbe-London route, how do you see British companies supporting the airline?
Thank you. We've secured landing rights to Gatwick.
Oh.
Yes. because the slots in Heathrow were not available. Now, to answer your question, Uganda Airlines is seen as an enabler because we are an infrastructure that supports the different areas that would like to trade between the two countries. So we enable opportunities in oil and gas, we enable tourism, education, agriculture, business and trade, and fashion and design. Now, how would we do it? One of the things we want to do is fly into England, rather into the UK on a daily, so that we offer that connectivity and flexibility. We will start with 4 flights and then be able to increase that slowly so that we are giving people the opportunity to trade through cargo opportunities that are between the two countries, or any other process that we can be able to support back home in Uganda.
Okay, thank you very much. Picking up from what you said, what investment opportunities or partnerships are crucial for enhancing the airline operation and ensuring the long-term success of this route?
Thank you. Now, first I'd like to say that when you look at the routes we operate, using our hub in Entebbe, we already give that connectivity between places. So we fly to Mogadishu, we fly to South Sudan, we fly to Burundi, we fly to Tanzania, we fly to Kenya, South Africa, Dubai, Mumbai, Nigeria. And soon we will be flying to London. So that connectivity we offer between cities using Entebbe as a hub is one of those ways. Now, as an airline, we have projects that we want to roll out, either on a JV or on our own, depending on how we can be able to discuss this with the different entities. We want to set up our own business lounge. We would like to also have our own AMO. We already have, AMO is Approved Maintenance Organization. This is where you're able to maintain your own aircraft in-house. We have a cargo plan, because we'll be getting 2 cargo freighters as a start. So we're going to set up a cargo warehouse and have lots of infrastructure. These are some of the opportunities available. We have a training school we'd like to start, where we'll be training our own pilots in-house and then slowly move it to training other entities as well. So there are lots of opportunities in the different areas along the customer journey of the airline.
Sounds really interesting. Is there a timeline to all of this? I know a lot of people
Yes, there's a timeline.
are interested in knowing how soon this would commence.
Yes, there's a timeline because we have a 10-year strategy. And these projects are part of our 10-year strategy. So between the next financial year, which is 24-25, and the next 10 years, we should see ourselves rolling these out as and when the timeline starts. So yes, there's a plan for that.
Okay,
with
thank
a timeline.
you. Thank you very much, and a round of applause for her.
Thank you.
Honorable Dr. Robert Rukari, how do you foresee the region's procurement process with regards to evolving to enhance intra-African trade?
Thank you. The laws of East Africa on procurement emanate from World Bank regulations. I happen to have participated in those amendments, but the most important issue about those procurements is that most of these countries, especially Uganda, has adjusted on some of these procurement processes. For example, if you are going to add value, aware of the youth, the young age population we have, if you are going to invest your business in Uganda, the PSST is here. You shall get waivers. For example, if you are involved in a coffee processing project, he will not even only give waivers, but he will even fund you. There's a project going on under Ministry of Science and Technology where they've put $30 million that if you are involved in that process, you can even get access, free money, as long as you're going to add value and we take advantage of those employment opportunities of our population. Procurement in our area is, especially on these high expensive projects, it's basically foreign. What is critical is how do you relate with our local people? How do our local people, do they have shares? Do you have joint ventures? That's why we have the biggest challenge. And for Uganda, we encourage what we call bubu. Build Uganda, buy Uganda. So for you as a foreigner, come and invest with our own local people. Then you shall easily access most of the advantages, especially even financing with UDB. I don't know whether UDB is here. You can easily access our monies. Then on procurement also, someone had mentioned it earlier here about processes. We have different types of procurements. There's what they call direct procurement. The PSST here also, especially on roads, including KCCA, if you have your own funding, you don't have to go for advertising. You go negotiate with the Ministry of Finance, negotiate with KCCA, you shall sign a road project and you collect your own money without the necessary procedures and contradictions of tendering. So yes, processes are there. Most of these processes can be overcome depending on how you are strategically investing in most of these East African countries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Picking up from what you said, what reforms precisely are needed to improve transparency, efficiency, and cross-border collaboration?
Thank you. Aware that I'm a politician, most of these transparency issues you're talking about, sometimes bidders bring them. The contradictions of most of these tenders come up because of the people who are bidding. As long as you get some clause which was negated, then you go for the elaborate processes for arbitration. Sometimes you go to court. Most of these cases are brought up by business people, not necessarily government. You find the government is so open that bidders take advantage of the weakness of government opening up too much. That's why if you go for some of these projects directly with an individual company or what we call closed bidding, you will find it much easier. In fact, now we are encouraging long-term pre-qualifications so that we avoid these contradictions. Once you pre-qualify for 5 years or 10 years, you will find most of these contradictions are sorted out.
Thank you very much, Honorable. What area precisely would you say you see the most promising investment opportunities? Because I'm very sure a lot of investors here want to know precisely where would you say are the most promising mouth-watering opportunities related to this development?
There are basically two. Aware that most of these countries are developing. When you talk of agriculture, and specifically coffee, when you talk of coffee in Uganda, I'm aware even today the president is meeting some of our colleagues, and among other issues they were discussing about it. When you go and invest in coffee, put a factory of coffee in Uganda, add value, come and bring those products in our supermarkets here. Then you shall not only get waivers, but you shall get free money, and you will develop our countries. Second, ICT, and it has been talked about here. Once we develop our ICT, another in Uganda was picked, the youth, our English of Ugandans is so good that Uganda was picked for you to invest in BOPs. BOPs, when you invest in Uganda in ICT, you shall get your money very fast. You can even work as India. I think which Mumbai, which city is in India is good at it. If you invest in Uganda in Bangalore, I think it's Bangalore, which is good at it. Uganda, with our youth, and most of our youth, we have two categories of youth in Uganda. We have the educated ones, highly educated, and the non-educated. But the biggest number in Uganda now is the educated, but unemployed. So you would not only have helped Uganda, but you can easily make money through ICT. And as we've been informed, most of our areas are now connected through the cable network. So ICT and agriculture would be more strategic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and a round of applause for our honorable. Those are very encouraging words. I'm sure the investors are taking note. They say when you invest in Uganda, be rest assured you'll get your money back. We'll quickly move on to Mr. Ninde Johal. From your experience, what key factors would you say are crucial for attracting sustainable investment to East Africa?
Okay, well, thank you very much. I did start by saying that I'm going to give you an outsider's perspective. From here, I'm going to Leicester. Now, Leicester's very famous because a lot of the people who live in Leicester came from Africa. And when you speak to those people, they speak so favorably about Africa. As I walk through the room here, I've never seen so many Africans in my life. And you know something? You were all very welcoming and positive. So you have some great natural attributes. It's a beautiful country, beautiful, beautiful nation. And of course you speak brilliant English, so that makes you actually very attractive internationally. But what do I think, and what do most people think? Well, we just talked about India. India is known for IT. It's known for something. You go to China. China's known for manufacturing. You go to Vietnam. They're now competing with China for low cost. You say Africa. What are you known for? Nobody knows what Africa is known for. So your primary challenge is a brand challenge. You've got to collectively, by the way, this is not just government. Everybody sitting in this room has a responsibility, and you are great ambassadors. I've met most of you here, you're fantastic people. But actually, you're the solution to your branding problem. You all own that solution, all of you. Not just one individual, not just one government. I hear wonderful things about the way Africans have adopted IT. You've adopted the movement towards cashless society quicker than most nations. You've actually got a march ahead of other people. I think collectively, all your nations, I see East Africa. What you don't have, and I had an article from the Financial Times, it reads, Africa struggles to capitalize on overtures, in other words, people who are interested from global powers. So in other words, these people are on your doorstep, but for some reason, there appears to be a barrier that they can't get over. Go back to 1947, India was on its knees. It was on its knees. By 2050, it will be the biggest economy in the world. So what have they done that Africa appears to be holding back? They've embraced inward investment. Don't shun it. Embrace it. They've understood that we need to be business friendly. I tell you, I've been on TikTok. Some of the best entrepreneurs come from Africa. They are fantastic on TikTok. You have the most entrepreneurial culture on the globe. But for some apparent reason, there does not appear to be a partnership between entrepreneurs and government. I'm the chair of what we call the City Investment Board. So I chair the partnership between local government and business. And I tell you, it's not easy. Government, by nature, has to be risk averse. They are taking the taxpayers' money. But if they work with entrepreneurs, and I tell you, this is a unique opportunity for this continent to be on top of the world. The challenge is, can you grasp it? Can you work in partnership? And can you encourage your next talented generation to become the entrepreneurs, not today, but the entrepreneurs of tomorrow? I say to you all, you are fantastic people, you have a fantastic nation, you have a fantastic block of countries. Your time has come. Europe is tired. US is stagnant in terms of growth. Africa is the place to be.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ninda Johal. Please tell us, how do you think East African countries can better position themselves to attract UK investors, particularly in manufacturing and technology? Yes.
Okay, sorry, I didn't realize I thought it was for you. I think I've already referred to it. It's having an open, embracing culture, encouraging people to come and work with you. You have a fantastic airline. You have a great understanding and culture of tech. The future for agriculture is how you adopt technology within your agricultural sector. India struggled with it. India's still struggling with it. That's why they had protests from the farmers, and that was well documented. So change is always difficult. Change will always be difficult. But if you ignore tech, and tech is applicable across all sectors, including agriculture, if you can adopt that now, because you have no bad baggage, if you can adopt that now, I think the future is fantastic.
Thank you very much. Can you, in few words, tell us some of the collaborations with regards to projects that the organization has had with Africa, with East Africa precisely?
Okay, so I can't refer to Africa. My earlier comment was I've never done anything with Africa, but I can tell you locally, as a locality, we bid for money from the government. The money comes in, we bid for it. We don't then wait for the government to tell us where to spend it. We spend it where we think it is right because we are local. So one of the things every government has to do is detach itself, not try and control everything, but to actually democratize decision-making to the local areas. Let them decide how to spend it. They get ownership, they work hard, they know they're the solution, back to my solution, and you'll see growth happen. So government has to, it's difficult for government to do that, but they've got to delegate, democratize, and remove themselves and let the local people decide.
Thank you very much, and a round of applause for him. Our last but not the least speaker, Dr. Samuel Mugasi. Can you tell us some of the collaborative collaborations, partnership, and investments the organization has gotten from?
Before I go into that, I would like to point out two key things that I think are critical for our government, but also our economy. In the morning, one of the panelists talked about Africa sitting on 60% of the arable land of the whole world. Now, despite that huge potential, Africa accounts for only 4% of the agricultural trade in agriculture, but also imports food worth almost $35 billion every year. So that's the dilemma we find ourselves in. Africa sitting on 60% of the arable land of the world, but being a net food importer. Now, what is the problem? If you come back to Uganda, yes, Uganda is a net food exporter, but again, utilizing only about 35% of our arable land. So I would like to focus on 2 points. One, in Uganda, if you'd like to invest in Uganda now, we would like to invite you to invest in fertilizers. Sorry, Mr. Moderator, for diverting a bit. because one of the problems Africa faces is low fertilizer use. Because we have been singing in Africa, including Uganda, which is even in our national anthem, that our soils are fertile, which is no longer the case. Our soils are heavily degraded, and that is why productivity in Africa is extremely low. Therefore, if you'd like me to talk about a possible partnership in Uganda, is to partner in fertilizer production. Because we import the bulk of fertilizers from China, from Russia. Therefore, fertilizer production is an area of interest. Put it into context. The recommended application rate of fertilizers across, at least for Africa, is 20 kilograms per acre per year. Uganda is only applying 2 kilograms per hectare. And that is why our production is declining. Therefore, if there are any investors, you have your money, one of the areas to invest in is fertilizer production, and you'll be able to capture the entire market in the region, the 8 countries that have been talked about. That's area number 1. Area number 2 is value addition. Indeed, one of the reasons why Africa accounts for only 4% of the agricultural trade globally is because of no value addition. We export most of our products raw, in raw form. You will be surprised to learn that some of the European countries are the biggest and the highest value out of our products, like coffee. So if you want to invest in Uganda, there are several value chains you can think about. Coffee is one of them, as Honorable Rukari has mentioned. Coffee. We have tea. And for tea, in particular, I would interest you in establishing an auction in Kampala. Because the bulk of our tea in Uganda is exported through the auction in Mombasa. And you're not getting a good price. So if you're talking of possible partnerships, we would like to interest any investor to establish an auction for tea in Kampala. And if you set up that auction center for tea in Kampala, then you're able to be, the tea coming from Rwanda, the tea coming from Burundi and Uganda can be exported through the Ugandan auction to the rest of the world. So that's another area of huge interest that you can think about as an investor in Uganda. The other area is grain and milk. So there are the 2 specific areas I would encourage investors is fertilizer and value addition. And those would go a long way in creating jobs, but also expanding our economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and a round of applause for Dr. Sanwo Mugasi. You've pointed out certain areas as an advisor. How about the situation where an investor comes to invest in agriculture and has an interest in a different area from what you've pointed out? How do they go about that? Pardon? If an investor is willing to invest in a different area from the 2 or 3 you've mentioned,
yes.
How do they go about that?
Yeah, I think in the morning, my other senior colleagues elaborated very, very well on the steps for investing in Uganda. So if you're interested, you can be supported right from acquisition of land. There are processes. You can be supported in tax waivers. And all those processes right from acquiring land, helping you, advising you on the best value chains to invest in. We can give information to make sure to invest your money in the right place. And as I have mentioned, if you come, we have a range. Agriculture in Uganda is such a wide sector, right from livestock to crops, value addition, name them. So we have a catalog of all these investments where we have done feasibility studies, where we have data and information on the profitability and on the markets. So we have a lot of information that we can share with you across the entire, all the value chains, so that you don't waste time, so that you can come straight and invest with information available to you and to make sure that you get your return on investment. In the morning, our PSST mentioned that Uganda has one of the highest returns on investment in the world. So agriculture is one of those areas you can think about, and the value chains are quite numerous, and you can approach us for more information. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mine is complimentary.
Okay.
I just wanted to inform the investors that Uganda imports paper. Maybe PSST can tell us how much we spend in importation of paper. And so if you came and you want to invest in tree growing like bamboo, which you can use to produce paper, you are welcome. You can even get land, government land, central government forest reserves, and you are leased 49 years or even 99 years, provided you are going to plant and then establish a factory to produce paper. I just wanted to add this onto the areas where you can invest.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I'm sure one or two investors have noted that.
Thank you, panelists. For the interest of the Ugandan diaspora, I have to ask Uganda Airlines, have we got a date? Because you address them, and they're not really, yes, and we've got a 10-year scope for licensing and so on, but they like to know a date, because as you remember when you came to the mission, you met all the diaspora, and they said, we'll even drive to Luton and Glasgow, wherever it is that you have to go, that we'll fly off into Uganda directly. So any, further information you can give on that particular aspect would really be extremely important. Thank you. Because I know you have some good news there as well. So.
Okay, over to you. I think you should respond before we go to the next question.
Okay. Can we pass the microphone? Yeah, sorry.
Ambassador, you're really pushing me. Yes, we don't have a date in particular, because we have done all the last time we came, we hadn't received our TCO, that is the third country certification for operators. But now we have progressed beyond that, and we have applied for a foreign operators permit, and that's the last stage. Now, before we even mention a date, we must have the permit first. So we believe we'll receive the permit this week, or the coming week, around Wednesday. And we have 2 dates in mind. If we receive the permit this week, then we launch in November, as we had mentioned to you. You're really pushing it. If we don't get the permit this week, then we will push it to 2025 early. And I know you don't want to hear that. So yes, so our date is hopefully end of November if we get the permit this week.
Maybe then December, 1 week late.
Yes, we have to give time for sailing, Honorable. Oh, you're giving us a date. Oh my goodness, that wasn't from my mouth. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It's okay, go on.
Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Otto. My name is Sid. I'm the in-house lawyer at a company called Novus. We've heard today talk about trade. We've heard talk about transparency, foreign direct investment, and where this current panel is talking about digital. One of the things we do is build portals for foreign direct investment, where the interaction between the agency, the state, or the entity in East Africa and foreign investors will all go through the online portal, rather a secure one specifically set up for this purpose, rather than using perhaps email, traditional methods, speaking to people. My question is, is the receptivity like I see we have a panelist from Uganda, for this sort of technology. I heard the comments earlier on about how sometimes transparency can hold up the process rather than be something that accelerates it, because it can cause issues. But so on that line, generally though, that's you would say more of an exception. Generally, the consensus globally is that we need to move more towards transparency, more towards changing the way these things are done. So not knowing that much about Uganda, I would like to know from the panel what the receptivity is like for this kind of digitalization. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I see you had to seize the opportunity to market your company.
What I read from the comrade is we have the procurement process they were talking about. We have a regulatory body called PPDA, Public Procurement and Disposable Authority. If you work with it, they can hook you in on their own website. And then those would be people interested in your services can easily access you through the PPDA.
Thank you very much. First, I would like to address myself to the product offerings, which we prefer not to say products, but experiences that we offer to tourists. For a very long time, we developed our wildlife nature-based experiences very well. It's what Uganda has been best known for. And rightly so. We have over 50% of the remaining population of the mountain gorillas in the world. Over 50%. Uganda has 50% of the bird species in Africa. Yeah, we have the source of the longest river in the world, River Nile. The source is in Uganda. Rwenzori Mountain, the highest peak, is the third highest in Africa, and it's right at the equator and with permanent snow on it. I could go on, and the diversity of wildlife that we have 10 national parks, 12 wildlife reserves. So that has been our focus for the longest time, but that is changing. In the last few years, we have realized that our assets in tourism development is not limited to the nature, but the people. And this is from the feedback that we are getting from the travelers to Uganda as well. And we have realized that the people of Uganda, the Ugandans, are the biggest asset that we have. And that has now drawn us to development of our culture as one of the biggest experiences, that we have to offer to the travelers to Uganda. The kingdoms, we are working very closely with the kingdoms. Bunyoro Kingdom, we normally organize different tourism experiences around the celebration of the coronations of the kings of Buganda, Bunyoro, Toro, and the others. But also we are promoting and developing, gastronomy tourism. It is part of the culture. We have over 50 different tribes in Uganda. The delicacies are so varied, so it's part of the culture of the people as well, the history of the different tribes of Uganda. So we have realized that is one of the biggest assets besides all the others that we still have to develop. Now, one thing is, as we all know, Sir Winston Churchill was the first to describe Uganda as the pearl of Africa. So the depth, the range, and the variety of the continent is in Uganda. But we have everything for everyone in the world. But we can't, the mistake has been to push everything at once. But our new national marketing strategy is directing us to prioritize key experiences that we need to push, and then eventually be able to start rolling the others one by one. Otherwise, then people think, maybe we are not serious, to try and offer everything at the same time. So that's the new strategy that we have. So culture is at the center of it, and we are pushing the development of cultural experiences in a big way. We also know with the trend of travelers around the world these days, people want real experience. They want to be involved in what is going on. If they're coming to experience the culture, they want to experience from the farm to the table. They want to be part of it. They want to pick the coffee beans, berries. They want to, be part of grinding the coffee and making it and then drinking it. Yeah, they want to learn how to cook. They want to pick up recipes from Uganda and be able to go back home and try it out. So
thank you very much.
That's one of it. But also, one key point she brings us is about pricing. Yeah, I think we have a pricing structure which is very clear. That we have pricing for Ugandans. Actually, it's not Uganda, but it's East African. A tourist or a traveler from Tanzania, Rwanda, any of the East African states will get to Uganda and pay the same rate as a Ugandan. And then we have foreign residents and then the rest. So there is a price structure that tries to address the point of the pricing.
Thank you very much, Lily Ajarova. You've spoken really like the chief executive of the Uganda Tourism Board. Thank you very much, and a round of applause to her.
Exchange rate fluctuations, capital controls, repatriation restrictions, and liquidity risks are among the variables impacting FDI, specifically in this region. What do you think needs to be done to reduce the barriers and facilitate smoother transactions across all the industries that you address? FX is a big challenge. We're seeing that hard currency sourcing is a big challenge. Generally, what can be done to facilitate smoother transactions in East Africa?
Okay, who's the question addressed to?
The whole.
Okay, good. Let's give the question to Linda Johal.
Just a very quick one. I'll correct what I said at the start when I said, what does Africa stand for? Actually, Africa is a beautiful country. Continent.
Yeah.
And actually, one of its unique things that no one else in the world has got, actually, it's its visitor economy. And I think that's a huge, huge asset. So I think it's a great question, and I think that's what you can really focus on. In terms of FX, any business will tell you to operate globally, you need certainty. And if a country that you're trading with doesn't give you certainty, for whatever reason, you're going to shun, you're going to keep away. So every country should have some kind of industrial strategy, some kind of strategy that then gives investors the confidence to invest in that country. Now, currencies will always go up and down. Share prices will always go up and down. That will never change because you'll always get turbulence in economic markets. But economic markets always shift up and down depending on their confidence in the country they're investing in. So if your country doesn't have an industrial strategy or some kind of international investor strategy that people can buy into, then FX, currency markets, financial markets, they will always be in turmoil, always. And that's why the American dollar has always been strong, because investors have always believed that the American dollar was the safest place to put your money. So unless government can articulate that certainty, then it's very difficult for business to invest and very difficult to manage that turbulence that you referred to.
Thank you very much, Linda Johal. At this juncture, permit me to ask our panelists to give us a parting word, a phrase, a quote, something you want the audience and the investors to remember you for. We'll start from Emma.
Hard to be concise. Fastest fingers first. I guess a competitive source of financing to enable you to deliver high impact projects which bring positive benefits to local communities in your country as well as benefits to the UK. So perhaps I'll condense that into mutual partnership.
Mutual partnership. Thank you very much, and pass the mic to your right.
Yeah, thank you. I think, remember me as a man who talked about fertilizer. Ironically, we talk about Uganda as a Pearl of Africa. So why should the Pearl of Africa be crying for fertilizers? It is because of years of degradation, climate change, etc. So come to Uganda, invest in two areas. make for us fertilizers, but also make fertilizers for the whole region. The market is open, but also value addition. Those two areas, you will make your money and you will thank me.
Fertilizer and value addition. Thank you very much, and pass the mic to the right.
Thank you. Mine is a simple one. We will enable connectivity and reduce travel time between the two countries, as well as create business opportunities in the market through the projects that I mentioned.
Thank you very much, and pass on the mic.
Before you remember me, Chair, the issue the lady raised was cured by the PSST. In Uganda, you invest your money, you can take it all. No questions about that. Second, it's value addition. Value addition, value addition. And Uganda can even finance you as long as you are doing value addition, especially in coffee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and pass on the mic.
Thank you very much. The tourism in Uganda, we have planned for the development as a sustainable tourism destination. So that is very important to note. And also, Destination Uganda is a destination that offers value for money. You go for one thing, if your interest is wildlife, you will end up experiencing way more than wildlife. If it is culture, you will experience more than that. So we offer value for money, and we welcome you to the Pearl of Africa.
Thank you very much, and pass on the mic.
Actually, it's not about me. You have a beautiful continent, you have beautiful people, and you have amazing potential. You've got to continue to embrace change, but above all, I think you should continue to dream, and I think you should continue to believe.
Such good words to wrap it up. Thank you very much to our audience, investors, and our ever amazing panelists. I've been your host, and my name is Otto Canon. That's been our time on this session. Thank you very much.